about the arm now. It didn't occur to me. Yeah, you can't just breathe the thing up by even if it's not thingo.
Let's go.
It's actually okay now.
Camera view. Oh.
When you they weren't consistent on both sides a moment ago, but they're fine now.
Yeah, but I know what I'm controlling and it's not doing that. So.
Okay.
It's like crop circles.
Yeah. That's what's creating all the crop circles.
We should take it to a park in Adelaide.
Damn rovers. Keep making all the crop circles.
It's driving so nice. I think because the sand is so solid.
It's still
Do you
pretty.
want to see anything else?
It's so fun.
And a big welcome back to the afternoon session of Day 3 of the Australian Rover Challenge 2026. We're coming to you live from Roseworthy Campus, part of Adelaide University here in South Australia, Australia. Now, before we get started with the teams on the pitch for excavation, construction and mapping and autonomy, we have some footage here from an event that took place last night inside the Exteriors Crater Lab, also part of the testing facility here out of Roseworthy.
So this one here is meant to be an example of the lunar what is it called?
Lunabotics.
Lunabotics, that's it.
We've got a Lunabotics-like environment here, and that is a competition that's held in the US, and it focuses on the excavation part, really, of the excavation and construction tasks that we've seen throughout the day. So it gives teams a chance to test out the rovers in another lunar-like environment. It pretty well replicates that challenge, so it's great for them to have this opportunity to test their rovers. So what we're going to see for the next couple of minutes is a time lapse of the teams who nominated to test their rovers in this facility just after yesterday. So this is hot off the press, this footage.
And as you can see, they move much quicker through these challenges here. Focus around these is a lot more about being a good construction-related equipment rather than the more careful challenges that we have in the Rover Challenge. So it's just about getting dirt from one place to another as quick as possible.
Exactly, they're focusing just on one task here. So the aim is to take the lunar regolith from an excavation zone and dump it into a berm construction zone. And the team is trying to get the highest volume of material in the berm zone as possible. So very similar to what we saw today in the excavation and construction task. And you might have noticed here that this lunar regolith looks quite different to what we saw outside. Now, the aim of the Exteriors Crater Lab, the regolith in here, is to simulate accurate lighting conditions, mimicking what you would see on the lunar South Pole. Now, when Miss Horoko Asakura was here earlier in the morning, she spoke about how the lunar South Pole is a real area of interest for future missions to the moon. We think that there is ice-cemented regolith inside the permanently shadowed regions on the South Pole. Now, permanently shadowed regions, or PSRs, are basically craters, and they're permanently shadowed because of the lighting conditions on the moon. They never see the sunlight reflecting inside the crater, so they're permanently in the shadow. And what that means is because they're not receiving any sunlight inside, they get to very, very cold conditions, allowing the regolith to freeze over. And that's where we think that water will be located inside the frozen regolith. So again, you might be thinking, what other tasks have we seen this week where teams have had to extract frozen regolith? And that's another reason why we have that space resources task.
Yeah, it's a big area of interest at the moment, this shadowed areas and trying to get things like water out of them. So definitely a cool challenge. And I think
one of the teams got stuck, I'm pretty sure it was Raz, you and SW, got stuck on a rock because of the object detection there. It didn't quite go as planned. And over here on excavation and construction, we have our next team. This is University of Technology, Sydney. with Rock-E the Rover. Now this is already phenomenal because Rock-E the Rover did not get off and away yesterday. They also had issues the day before. So it's amazing to see that they've not only gotten away out of the start gate, but they've got a brand new payload and they've collected a rock.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Their payload system, it's almost like a scoop with a clamp at the top and the regular sort of scooping mechanism at the bottom.
Yeah, you can see how this is taking inspiration from a traditional digger design that we would use for terrestrial construction.
It's hanging on just by a thread right there.
They're really not messing around, are they? They are taking that risk, heading over to the collection zone there. And the really impressive thing about this rover is that it has active suspension. I'm pretty sure this is something that the team tried out last year as well. So we will hopefully be able to see this in action when they deposit the rock. Active suspension is very cool because it means they have linear actuators connecting the chassis to the drive system, and that's what allows it to be able to translate up and down.
There you go. They
Nice.
managed to get that fully deposited, even though it's hanging on just by a thread.
First rock in. You can get a nice look there. So you can see the linear actuators attached to the chassis.
Yeah, suspension on a terrain like this is so critical. There's so many different ups and downs you got to traverse through. All right, here we go for another. That's a big one.
Wow, nice job from Rock-E the Rover. Really impressive stuff from this team. They had some issues yesterday, and it's so clear that they've overcome those challenges overnight.
Yeah, this team really loves to live by the edge here.
Yeah, quite literally. Wow, oh my gosh. If that was a centimetre too far back, that would have been a disaster. I think that looks like plastic perspex on the top there with those claws.
Yeah, and good thing they're shaped like hooks. That's probably what kept those rocks from falling out while they were moving it.
Yeah, definitely agree. You can see how that's going to be quite useful for excavation later on because they can flip that claw sort of right back around to make it clear for picking up all of the regolith.
Looks like we're lining up for that blue rock now. Front wheel's completely off the ground here.
There it goes. The stepper motors.
You can see that active suspension in action right there.
Such a robust system they've got here. Huge concentration there in the base station. They would be really trying to maximize points today. They just wiggle, 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 and that rock has come free.
Solid work from the team there.
They're doing this in really record timing as well.
Yeah, that top perspex definitely makes a big difference. Once it's in, it's not falling out.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it also means that they can filter out the regolith as well. That can shake free to leave just the rock behind. Just like that.
Just like that.
I love the personality of these rovers.
Yeah, it's been great to see all the teams bring such a liveliness to their rovers. Definitely makes each one have a unique character. Oh,
Yeah, I agree. This is so much like a claw machine, isn't it?
yeah. If you've played those before, you know how hard they are. But I'm sure these guys have designed it so that it's as easy as possible to grab these rocks.
Now we have just 1 minute on the clock for the University of Wollongong. Actually, less than that. We're counting down the last 35 seconds. They've jumped into... Looks like it might be the non-autonomous mode. So they'll be trying to go around to the coloured cubes, like what you can see in the background there, reporting the coordinates back to the base station. But the extra challenge is that the coordinates have to be relative to the rover's starting position, meaning that they have to, I guess, set an origin point or a ground truth at the very beginning and then map the coordinates relative to that. And there's time up for University of Wollongong. It's a fantastic effort by the team there, demonstrating their autonomous system. Even that getting in place is fantastic. You can see they're really happy there.
You see they were doing a little celebratory spin with their rover there.
I'll give it another go tomorrow, of course.
One of the fascinating things you might have noticed in that rotation was that you don't necessarily need to turn the wheels to turn. You can actually change the amount of power you drive the various wheels to get the rover to turn around as well. So it just shows how many different ways you can skin the cat.
University of Wollongong will be back up tomorrow at 9 AM for excavation and construction.
Yeah, watch out for them. They're leading the leaderboard at the moment. So.
Yeah, that's right. The current front runners. Rocky the Rover is just crushing this debris clearing challenge. Again, such a far cry from yesterday. But it didn't even get much around the pitch.
Just shows the hours these guys put in between each session. I'm sure there's a lot of late nights they pull.
Yeah, 100%. I know I've heard a few people mention the words 2 a.m. in our interviews today.
It's a normal bedtime, it seems like, during these tournaments.
That's right. Here we go. You can see the confidence in their operations.
Maybe a bit too confident.
Yeah, a little bit too much there on the confidence.
But great work, nonetheless, depositing another rock. It's been a solid set of rocks there now.
Yeah. It's interesting too, you can see they've sort of got this pulley system on the left-hand side to be able to rotate that claw all the way back around. I imagine that provides a bit of stability as well in that top part of the frame.
Yeah, definitely would be something to do with weight distribution, not to have the motor directly connected to that part.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There we go, the big chunky rock there for some chunky points. Yeah, real appreciation for the complexity of this task. They're kind of relying entirely on that bottom left camera to know where they are and whether they've collected the rock or not.
Amazing work again.
Yeah, brilliant work from Rocky the Rover.
It's definitely one of the more quicker moving rovers, for sure.
Yeah.
There you go, that shimmy again.
Let's get rid of all that sand and on to the next task.
That's really unique is that a lot of them talk about these skills that they gain from the Rover Challenge that they don't get out of normal university courses. So that's always really cool to see that they are getting invaluable knowledge from doing a project like this. And not just that, like learning to work in a team, interdisciplinary team, learning to plan a year-long project, as well as the camaraderie and making lifelong friends. Some of these guys, they've all said that these guys are my closest friends now, which is really great to hear.
That's fantastic stuff. And speaking of success, UTS have just deposited their first batch of regolith in the regolith acquisition zone. Amazing effort by the team. It's so nice to hear the friendships that form out of these teams as well, you know. It is a high-pressure environment, it's a long development cycle, but it's great that there's so much shared passion here. And that extends across the teams as well, who seem to all hang out with each other in their spare time after the competition.
Yeah, it's super important. I think even just to work well as a team, you need to have some level of understanding of each other, and that helps you so much more, being more productive, understanding what each other are trying to do. So it's great to see everyone getting along and making an attempt not only within their teams, but talking to other teams as well. Because at the end of the day, this challenge is about collaboration, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Amazing stuff from Rock-E. The team has just had incredible success this
They've
afternoon.
really smashed this one, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. And they were only 23 minutes into their time as well, out of a total 40 minutes. There's a total of 30 points up for grabs for this particular section of the task, so it's definitely worth them investing the time into. 5 points are awarded for depositing at least 2,000 centimetres cubed, and then up to an additional 25 points awarded for depositing larger quantities. And this is a function of the largest quantity deposited by any team.
Yeah, this is very impressive. They look like they're battling one of the bollards at the moment.
Do you think they're up for a game of javelin this afternoon? I think he said, I'm a bit tired of this whole regolith acquisition thing. Let me just see if I can throw this pole as far as I can.
Really
Maybe to
looks
go
jammed in.
jousting with the legendary Rover. They might have to maneuver themselves a little bit to get free of that. Now, this would be an edge case that I don't think the team would have quite considered.
Oh, 100%. I think this is the con, I guess, of having hook Perspex on top of the scoop. Yeah. There's always, with any design choice, there's trade-offs you make, and I guess this trade-off was not something they had envisioned.
It's pretty unfortunate that it's the exact diameter of the pole.
Mm.
That's really not made it easy for them.
It's coming along for the ride.
Okay, we better watch out here in the commentary booth. That Rover is coming straight for us. Very. Have they got it? No.
Almost.
Gosh. There we go. Great job from Rock-E the Rover there. A bit of excitement. Some really great creative problem solving there. I'm sure that is the last thing that they expected to see happen to their Rover after all the other challenges they've had this week.
This is exactly that on-the-fly problem solving that we were talking about earlier.
That's right. They wasted no time getting free of that.
Just a quick side quest.
Exactly.
And they've still got plenty of time to get this through. You can see that shimmy again to get all the dirt off.
Yeah, it's an incredibly responsive system, isn't it, to be able to switch those two wheels so quickly.
I'm guessing they must have mapped that already to a movement. They just press a button and it does the whole shimmy motion. Can't imagine they would have to rapidly press directional buttons to get it to shimmy like that.
Yeah, that's a good insight because that would be quite tricky to do just with the thumb or pressing a button. It does appear to seem like the same movement each time too.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of like reducing the complexity of the whole system as a whole, is to create very similar motions, map them all to one button, so then you just know that that movement happens when you press the button. There you go, there's that shimmy once again.
Super effective scooping work here. It's great that they also have a camera inside their scoop. Make sure
That's
that they
unique.
know that they've deposited a rock or some regolith.
And that's quite unique, I think, from the other teams.
Looks like they've even got a spirit level there on the top of their scoop.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I haven't seen before.
I think that's more with like building it rather than using it on the mission itself, since it'd be quite hard to see from the camera.
Yeah. Now, while Rocky the Rover heads into its final stretch, we're going to throw back to Shagaf in the workshop, who's got an interview with RMIT
Task today and then tomorrow.
on the excavation and construction task.
There's a big mound now.
They're heading into their final 3 to 4 minutes of the task today.
This is, I would say, a big success for the team.
Huge success. They're all watching very closely out here on the field, and you can see that they've just really become comfortable. Check out that active suspension there as it steadies itself. It looks so human, doesn't it, when it has that active suspension? It's sort of, bending the knees to be able to steady itself, to get the sand. It's just like what we would do if we were trying to lift a heavy object. But they've really become comfortable with this process, back and forth from the acquisition zone to the regolith.
Well, that's a massive mound now.
Yeah, they've just really nailed that shaking action there. Of course, only the regolith within those poles will be counted, so they want to make sure that as that mound grows, they don't actually end up outside the zone.
I wonder how they'll judge that with one of the cones missing.
Now, after this run, we'll be already halfway through the excavation and construction teams in the afternoon. UTS will be followed by QT Raw and Rival.
As we were talking about earlier, it looks like they're wrapped up. UTS is finished now.
Yeah, that looks like time up for Rocky the Rover. Fantastic work from the team there. Really, really fantastic job on excavation instruction. It can't be understated, actually. how much they've improved from yesterday. Just a massive comeback.
Yeah, really amazing work. It just shows, some days are worse than others, and you just have to pick yourself up and get ready for the next day, and you might have a really successful day just like today.
That's exactly right. And you can see here under the hood of the rover, they're doing a power level reading there, all part of the new efficiency multiplier for this year.
You can just see the wire jungle that goes underneath a rover, the amount of cables and systems they have to connect together for this one rover to move around. It's very impressive.
Yeah, like you were saying about the modularity before, cable management is another really big aspect of these rovers. If you've got a tangle of wires, it's going to be really impossible to do problem solving on the fly. From one rover to the next, in goes UTS, now comes QT. Now, this one will be quite exciting, Feeder, because yesterday I saw, I think one of the team members is holding it, a marsupial rover or a scout rover to go alongside their primary rover.
Yes, a mini rover, you could almost say.
Exactly, a mini rover. They're required to start as a singular system, and then the miniature rover can get deployed at some point during the task. So I have a feeling we're going to see that. It was zooming around the workshop yesterday. So I'm very keen to see that in action. You can see there UTS, lots of happy faces there in the workshop. So tune in to see them later on in the day, where I hope the weather has stayed as lovely as it is today.
That's right, and here you can see on pitch B, this is University of Technology Sydney with their Rock-E rover. The official time for the mapping and autonomous task did start at 10 a.m. local time, so they're only about 8 minutes into the total of 40 minutes, but we still have not seen any movement. So there's lots of troubleshooting, problem solving happening behind the scenes. Sometimes these moments can be quite stressful when the team, they could be completely prepared, 100% ready, and then something just doesn't turn on, communications doesn't connect, or something just isn't right. And it really is in these times where working under pressure really comes into play.
Yeah, it was just like you were saying before, teams can test all they like in their home workshop environment. They often do field tests as well, taking their rovers for a day out at the beach or on the lawns of their local university. But when you come here to the challenge, things can just be different. It's a much, much bigger field than what a lot of the teams are used to. The tyres behave differently on this lunar regolith. There's a completely different communication set up in terms of the environment. And of course, there's some pretty long distances away in the base station as well.
So it looks like the team is troubleshooting. Could it be a communications issue? Could it be a software issue? Is it a hardware issue? Again, we mentioned these are critical times. Time crunch is really on. The pressure is real. And University of Technology Sydney only have about 23 minutes remaining to attempt the mapping and autonomous task. Their final attempt and final performance for the Australian Rover Challenge 2026. Over on pitch B.
Wow, that's great work from the team.
Finally, we're seeing some action. Will they get as many points as they can in the time that remains? They've just ticked over to about halfway point, so they only have 20 minutes. And there's that point breakdown. So 100 points are available for the autonomous mapping and autonomous task. And this is a task that's presented and sponsored by Boeing as well. Now, they do get 5 points, as you've seen earlier, for just moving away from their original location autonomously. So they should have secured those points. We've seen hands off in the base station, which indicates that this is indeed an autonomous operation. But the team looks relieved. They look pleased that the rover is now finally up, functioning, and it is moving. So let's hope they can make the most of the time left.
Yeah, that's really impressive, Shigaf, to see an autonomous attempt by the team. They are one of the newer teams to the Rover Challenge. They had some struggles last year as well as earlier this week. They did a fantastic job in excavation and construction, and you can see here now if they're able to get the rover to identify some of those landmarks, that will really get them some valuable points and some valuable learnings in this competition.
Legendary rover team on pitch A, still attempting to excavate more regolith pitch A.
So that'll be UQ Space coming onto the excavation and construction pitch A at 10:30 a.m. local time in just under 5 minutes. And Rocky the rover, meanwhile, has been making great strides across the pitch. I'm sure the team is very proud of their efforts this morning.
15 minutes remain for University of Technology Sydney Rock-E rover team. We did see movement earlier. They've moved away from their beginning point or initial point. They've gone over a crater edge, and now they're stationary again. Is there an issue potentially? Will the team call an intervention? And so once again, a reminder that the teams can call an intervention, which allows the field team to step onto the pitch, fix any issues, and it allows a two-way communication between the base station team and the field team. It does, however, incur a penalty if they do choose to call an intervention. Sometimes, though, that is the necessary step to recover from any issue they might be experiencing and get back on track with the remainder 14 minutes they've got left. Some laughter there in the base station team. Okay, we're seeing some movement now. Camera feed really struggling. UTS Rock-E Rover on the move again. Slowly but surely getting around that pitch for the mapping and autonomous task.
They still have 13 minutes remaining. That is quite a lot of time to get things done.
They'll need to zoom around.
It's amazing just watching that rover traverse so smoothly. I have a feeling they're still in an autonomous run.
Now, University of Queensland Space Rover team has now brought the rover out on pitch A, getting ready to attempt the excavation and construction task, and we can see a beautiful excavator there attached to the front.
Yeah, I wish you just have, I have 3 buses. Should I have 4? Just to be safe. There's one closer. And I wouldn't use...
Meanwhile, University of Technology Sydney still making strides across the pitch.
And also that name, it's like, if we keep the same one there.
We're seeing slow but steady movement. Really sturdy, making its way around the pitch.
I would still keep the wheels the exact same size.
They now officially have just about 10 minutes remaining for this time. And okay, we've seen a...
Yeah, so Rocky the rover has active suspension on board.
Oh, that's incredible. That is the first time I see that in action.
Yeah, they gave it a go last year in the challenge, and they didn't have a lot of success in the task, but that active suspension was something quite impressive.
Look at it go.
Rover. Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
That's incredible. And this is really, really key in supporting the rover traversing some rough terrain, making sure there's no issues with it tipping or falling over. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, so active suspension means that there are linear actuators between the chassis and the drive system. So when you saw it moving up and down before, those are the linear actuators assisting that. And it allows the chassis to be risen or lowered, which is a huge advantage for trying to navigate over obstacles, but it also adds a lot of complexity to their rover because, of course, if that active suspension fails, those linear actuators don't work, then they've got a system that will be nowhere near as effective as getting around obstacles and could really affect their drive system.
That's right, and this is really the trade-off that we see when it comes to engineering and design. When you want systems like these to make life more convenient, sometimes it does complicate the whole system, and what that does is it might decrease the reliability or robustness of your system. And so sometimes opting for a more simpler design is better. But if you can have such a additional system to make the operation more feasible, we've got some expressions there in the base station team.
They must be on the edge of their seat. So I think something else that's also amazing is that the active suspension was also autonomous. They were very much sitting back, so I have a feeling that that was all autonomous, which is pretty amazing.
We've got movement on pitch A. So this is University of Queensland Space Rover team. They've just started their excavation and construction task. Thank you, Caleb. It's awesome to hear from Monash Nova Rover. They should be really happy now that they've finished all their tasks for the Australian Rover Challenge 2026. Now, here we are, back with University of Technology Sydney. They've just got under 5 minutes left for this task. This is the mapping and autonomous task. They've had some steady movements so far. We believe it's still autonomous. We haven't seen any manual input from the base station team. Incredible job so far.
We've also seen some fantastic action from UQ Space. They've been going back and forth, getting as much regolith as they possibly can, and their scoop is certainly up to the task.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I think
There may have been a potential issue, but I think we've recovered. University of Technology, Sydney.
Would you say this is a Rock-E versus Rock?
This was a Rock-E versus Rock, but I think Rock-E definitely prevailed really quickly. And 50 seconds on the clock.
Last minute remaining.
University of Technology, Sydney, in their final seconds of their final performance in the Australian Rover Challenge 2026. Incredible job so far, completing that autonomous mapping and autonomous task. Really smooth turning of the rover there.
It's really interesting. You can see those holes in the tyre treads, how effortlessly it lets the sand filter out. I think that's helping them move so smoothly over the surface of the lunar regolith there. It just doesn't let anything bog them down. Really, really interesting tyre design.
That's right. We've seen so many different designs and some of them have had a few issues. This one definitely seems to just be prevailing so smoothly over the terrain. No issues whatsoever. And that is time for University of Technology Sydney Rock-E Rover. Well done. Incredible effort to the team over the past 4 days. Back to pitch A, we have University of Queensland Space Rover.
There goes Rock-E the rover.
Immense effort from the team as they collect their rover, bring it back into the workshop one final time for the 2026 installment of the Australian Rover Challenge.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, it'll be 3, 2, 1, then go. All right?
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go! One, let's go!
Oh!
What happened there? What happened to